Good morning to our new edition of Stuck to Strong Boardroom Reflections. Today we have um, the CEO of Spark Launch.ai, Chaya Mallavaram. Chaya comes to us from Boston, where she started Spark Launch along with other investors and uh, thought leaders in the area of education. Chaya's passion is in enabling transformation to happen for children with neurodiverse architecture, and Chaya herself identifies herself as a neurodiverse person. And it is her personal journey with her own neurodiversity as well as the challenges of raising a neurodiverse child that brought her to exploring alternate methods of instruction and education. And out of that came her idea of an immersive education tool called Sparkade, which is the flagship product of her company, Spark Launch. Uh, Spark Launch is still in the private capital raising phase. It's still in the startup mode, but we expect great things to happen in the next year or so. So I give you all Chaya Mallavaram and her journey towards excellence.
Oh,
Thank,
wow.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful explanation. I have to give credit to our Chief Product Officer, Joshua Rastetter, who actually came up with the idea of gaming. I, just as a human, had learned how to overcome a lot of my challenges that I experienced. And also being in tech, I knew exactly how to design and what ingredients need to go into the platform. But when I met our chief product officer, Josh, we talked about it for months. We explored different technical solutions. And one day he dropped gaming, and with everything that I had shared and with everything that I had desired for what this platform should look like. And he is neurodivergent himself, and with raising a child who's neurodivergent and knowing a lot of the challenges. What he proposed completely made sense. And so we are all working on it together. Our Chief Technology Officer, Kristen, as well. He's neurotypical, but is a gamer. I love that. And so we bring in all our unique experiences into this journey, into shaping our product. And of course, we have clinicians, we have our doctor, Dr. Joe Johnson, who is just focusing on ADHD. So he's a psychiatrist in London who treats ADHD patients. And we also have Dr. Maria Antipa, who is our chief psychologist for mental health. She's also head of therapies in London. And also we have neurodivergent teachers. So everybody together is shaping this product to empower the neurodivergent children.
And so, going back to your origin story, what got you involved with this field? How did you get there?
Yeah. So I've gone through deep transformations in my life, and one thing that always paid off is when I followed my heart. And having experienced a lot of challenges in school and college, I fell in love with technology, and that happened by chance. And that's exactly what I want to remove, that chance. Because a little bit of my background. So I went to a very good convent school in Bangalore, India. And I was a constant daydreamer. Teachers would throw chalk at me all the time, and my mind just would always wander off. And it's not that I was not putting in effort, so I would bring it back, and before I realized, it was just gone. And then I was also very ambitious. So when I went home, I would want to study and get good grades, because that's what the world told us. And so every time I sat in front of the books, the same thing happened. I would read and reread each line multiple times, and then it ended up being so frustrating, the process, that I would end up procrastinating, and I had severe anxiety when it came to exams. When I was in college, I think it took me a while to realize even why grades are important. So this battle with me and the books was always happening, which people didn't see, only my parents knew. So I would have this pile of textbooks with pages missing, and even my pencil was chewed up, like with the lead being exposed all the time, like and there were holes in my chair. It was a lot of frustration. So I can't forget that. This happened for 16 years. So I took up accounting at the age of 15. As you know, in India, we have to decide pretty early, because my father was a chartered accountant. He also fell into his passion, but I somehow assumed his passion is mine because he was a science student and then fell in love with accounting. And so the battle continued, and me being wanting to do well in life, and the books not supporting me the way it was taught, not supporting me. And later on, I realized I didn't have a passion for accounting and finance. And so when my cousin introduced me to tech, because all these computer firms were opening up, firm is the wrong term, but these tech companies which were teaching programming, I went to a class which was talking about flowcharts, and I literally fell in love because I was fully engaged and I got it. It was logical, and I'm also a very analytical person, along with being dreamy and creative. And so I got it. And from there on, it was my dream to teach myself how to program. Back then, it was all programming on books, and which was also very frustrating. You couldn't go and fix stuff when you've already written. But then when I got access to my computer, and especially when I came here to the US, I married my husband. I fell in love with him, and he came here. And so I would spend hours and hours just teaching myself how to code. And I did a lot of projects because I just loved it. It was just easy, and I didn't have to struggle. Having struggled for 16 years, when you find something that's easy, that you love, that is just aligns with you, it just is natural. So I felt like I was going with the flow versus going against it, which is what happened when I was a child.
Wow. The um, so at what point did you actually shift your focus to creating a company that is actually building products for neurodiverse children rather than trying to design products that will fix the problem? Um,
Yeah.
the entire field of neurodiversity seems to be like almost like we have to shoehorn new neurodiverse people into a pre-existing model that is not really designed for them. But you went out of the way to actually create a custom design that fits the way they think and move and learn, as opposed to the neurotypical cognitive architecture. So, at what point did you make that decision, and what drove you down that path?
Yeah, great question. So I, to continue my journey, I just love coding, and I also pursued my love for art. So I used to create paintings, and even that was self-taught, because I realized schools can't teach me anything. I have everything that I've learned today is self-taught, the way my brains work. So I taught myself, and while I started perfecting my paintings, I also had a scarf business, where I converted my paintings into silk scarves that I sold. But really, what changed was when I started taking my paintings to art shows, and people would tear up. So something that I had created would move people deeply. That point kind of stuck to me. I didn't know why, because when I was selling, it was different. I was in a sales mode, but I would notice this. And so, and and then that was one part. And then the other part is, the main part is when my son got diagnosed with ADHD.
How old was
I
he?
went on a deep spiritual journey inside,
How old was he when you
he
got
was
diagnosed?
15. So he was 15, and what they told me was, the doctors told me, was he was masking, and he was masking, or the situations didn't occur because the schools allowed him to sit however he wanted, or learn the way he wanted when he was younger, especially. So unknowingly, I had chosen, along with my husband, I convinced my neurotypical husband to put him in private schools because of my own challenges in schooling. See, I had forgotten, because I had found success and happiness. I had forgotten about all the challenges, and then when I went into my deep inner work, I started questioning, why did I choose private schools? Why was I just not even looking at public? And so I did, but throughout. So so we spent a lot of money just sending him to private school. But what I realized is that didn't solve the problem. He
Hmm.
still had challenges. He went to a very good private high school. But again, all schools today are made for neurotypical. They're still motivated by grades and external rewards. But neurodivergent minds are motivated intrinsically. And so that made me question. And so when somebody gets diagnosed, as you know, doctor, is that they have gone through a series of challenges. So he went through a series of challenges, our family went through a series of challenges, and mental health was the main thing. The aspect that we were seeing is that not just his challenges, it then transferred to our own challenges. And then, so my desire to bring love back into the family, and the desire for all of us to understand each other, made me go inward and transform and see where I was doing wrong as a parent. And what I realized was, I had somehow figured out how to fit into the system, by not living in my own power. I was just fitting in, even at work, even though I was doing what I was loving. Um, I was forcing my son to do the same. So I realized I was one of the biggest culprit in him experiencing his challenges. So I started working on myself and releasing fear. So fear, I was parenting from fear, and I learned all about parenting from love. And so when that happened, it really was magical.
So,
Um, yeah.
so when so on one hand, you have a platform that produces an environment for immersive learning for children to learn with ADHD, to learn the way they naturally are architectured. On the other hand, you have parents who engage, who are as much a part of the equation. The environment that they create. So how do you use Sparkade and Spark Launch products to empower patients to learn the lessons you learned, to shift from fear towards love, to shift from comparison to acceptance, to shift from competition to inclusion. How do you do that? How do you
Yeah.
how do you
So,
program? How do you create a gaming environment
yes.
to affect parental psychology, to create an environment where the child learns the mechanics of knowledge acquisition, but also the the substance and psychology of personal development.
See, one thing that is common amongst parents is they want their children to do well in life.
Yes.
They you ask anybody, right? That's their desire, whether they can or not. Um, and I realized all as a parent, if I go back, I just wanted to see my child do well. And if my child was doing well, those conflicts would never have arisen. So our goal is to tap into every unique strength that a child has. Because as you know, the schools today are not able to tap into every unique gift and strength that they have. Creativity is, first of all, school kills creativity, and it's the focus only on the main subjects, and so you end up sending to private schools to tap into their unique gifts, but still there's a gap. And so we are going to tap into everything the child is engaging with, and we will show that to the parents. So it's impossible for me to go and teach every parent
Yeah.
love, but all I can tap into the aspect that the parents will be happy, will experience joy when they know their child is doing well, and we can even show how their child is learning and
So,
engaging. Yeah.
so how does an actual learning session look like in on Sparkade?
So we are in the middle of a prototype. I can't reveal every detail as we have NDAs, but I could share that through. So the way we are designing our platform and every game is for the ADHD mind, so it's not just me and my personal experiences. As I mentioned, we have a team, and we know how an ADHD mind works, and what motivates them. So we are creating an environment where they can naturally tap into. And when you give freedom, you don't put them in a box. When you give children freedom, they will know, because they know intuitively a human being has instinct, they have intuition, they know what to do, they know what they like, they know what they don't like. So when you give freedom in a safe environment and get them to explore, they will do they will pick things that excites them. And we, even a minute spent on
Mhm.
any game will be tracked. Right now there's no way of tracking every human behavior. They might have learned through a conversation with a business person, but that's not tracked. But within our environment, we'll be able to track, and we can highlight what is unique about this child. As you know, every human being is unique and different and special. There's no replication, there's no copy, and we'll highlight that. So when they
Well,
go off into adults, once they graduate from school, they will know what their own strengths are.
does the Sparkade platform dynamically change lessons on the fly as the child moves, or
It
is it working on a fixed template?
Yeah, no, it would dynamically, and that's why we couldn't have done this a few years ago before AI. As we know
No,
more about,
I figured that because you mentioned that and I was curious. So that means you are using AI assisted learning platforms that will dynamically um, comprehend the learning profile or the pattern of learning of the child and customize the grade of difficulty as well as the grade of complexity and challenge for the child, going back and forth, literally tailoring it on the fly to the child's learning capacity as as they go through
yeah,
this immersive game. Uh,
to personalize it. So when you personalize it for you, you're likely going to take it
do you
and
game
consume
do,
it.
do you game scenarios for executive function, emotional regulation, and engagement also?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
for
Okay.
sure we will have. So as you mentioned, we are in the middle of fundraising. We want to we want to provide games for emotional regulation, and also executive function will be part of the package. When you give them freedom within structure and also teach them executive functioning, they will thrive. These children have amazing potential, um, and these things are not taught in school, and they emotions is a big part of neurodivergence, and when they tap into love,
Mhm.
and when they learn how to regulate, and when they learn how to create boundaries, and they can tap into joy and doing what they love, they become amazing human beings. And I truly believe it's the neurodivergent folks who are motivated intrinsically, who will take humanity forward, because there is this fear of AI taking over the world. And I'm like, no, this, when you do something from your heart and from human experiences, you're always inventing and creating and using AI to assist you, to elevate you, to do to actually progress.
So, so you have the child learning in the Sparkade. At what point do you interface with grades and conventional metrics of performance? And at what point do you actually interface with the conventional education, the school system or the teacher system? Do you actually uh, let the child have this assisted environment or this enhanced learning environment outside of the school system and then bring the child back into the school system where they have to how does that work? I
Integrate,
mean,
how to
yeah,
integrate the
how
real
do you,
world. And so we are building all the
I
games
don't call it real world. I mean, I would call it conventional world
conventional.
versus because it's all real
Yeah,
in some
everything is
sense.
real. You're right. One is
Yeah,
virtual, one is what exists, which is important.
yeah.
Agree. And so for me, especially K to 12 is foundational learning. It is important that we get that knowledge. And so all our games are will be around the school curriculum, the Common Core of the US standards. And so they will be designed around it. And that so a child can learn through a platform and then go to school and be able to better participate in classrooms because now they've received the knowledge. So what is happening today, sadly, is that they are denied the knowledge, um, because you're subjected to reading and writing and the type of teacher and this type of environment. And as you know, we are sensitive to environments. Even a little bit of noise can distract us. And so we are creating an environment where they can learn, they can gain knowledge. So when you learn something with joy, you're going to retain it. The chance of you retaining it in your body is higher. And so they can then go to the school and interact with it. So we are building the platform not just for parents, but also for educators. So in order to make their lives better, we're
So,
not taking away teaching, or we need teachers, we need educators, we need schools.
so if you fast forward 5 to 10 years, how do you see AI powered or AI assisted neurodiversity first education shaping schools or even becoming a significant portion of the curriculum? Do you actually see this entering the curriculum on a regular basis?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because there's a need for it. You speak to any school and teachers, they are still functioning with the traditional setting. Just we have our neurodivergent teacher working on this project, Lindsay Rice, and she's neurodivergent. She was tied to a chair when she was a little girl. I had reposted that video on LinkedIn where she talks about how once you're on the 504 plan, even though you're gifted, you're not allowed to go to gifted programs because you have a disability. So that exists even today. So it's operating in very old way of existence. So my goal is really when the children show up with their strengths and knowledge, the symptoms would automatically reduce, and they won't have anxiety because the knowledge is in their body, in their system, and they can show up in ways that they won't need that assistance. They won't be, when I say diagnosed, I hate the word diagnosed. They can live with their strengths, because I think every human being has strengths and weaknesses, even the neurotypical ones.
So when this podcast goes out, we are going to get parents who are interested in finding out, because they all have different parents who will be facing different challenges with the learning environment for their neurodiverse children. How can parents interact with Spark Launches community? Do you have a blog or a community web page or a social media group that they can join? Spark Launch, does Spark Launch have a group on Facebook or WhatsApp or LinkedIn, where people
Yeah.
can just be part of a community? They may not immediately buy into the
Yeah.
program, but they can still be part of the community and start acquiring. Um, so, what? How would people want to reach out, and how would they get
Yeah.
get to know you?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just my name, Chaya Mallavaram, and our company is Spark Launch. Website is sparklaunch.ai, and also for to get on the waiting list, go to play.sparkade, SPARKADE .app. So for
All
now,
right,
yeah.
perfect. I'll put those up in the show notes, and let me. That's awesome. It's awesome that we got this. Got to sit down and talk about this. I'm going to look out with great interest as to how this develops. I can tell you that there's a huge need for uh, AI assisted neurodiversity first tools, and companies like Spark. launch with their product Sparkade is going to definitely have a strong following. It'll be very interesting to see where this goes. I also foresee that this can emerge into immersive gaming training tools for corporate America too, where you can have companies creating simulation environments for training for themselves in high risk environments where they can simulate various uh, applications for that. And I would be interested in seeing whether this is something that can be ported onto that. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting. All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I also wanted to mention our podcast, which is
Yes.
sparklaunchpodcast.com, where we talk to amazing individuals and where who are our focus is neurodiversity and mental health. So they can be in any part of their journey. We've had guests from all walks of life come in and share their authentic journey, including you, Ravi,
Yeah.
which will be part of our season 3. We're about to launch our season 3, and yeah, mental health is prevalent, but we don't have to suffer. Being neurodivergent, we don't have to suffer. That's my goal and wish for the humanity.
Yeah, look
Thank
forward
you.
to that episode. It was
Yeah.
fun recording that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Chaya Mallavaram, it's a pleasure. This is Stuck to Strong Boardroom Reflections, Journey into the Human Mind.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.